Yo, what's up, guys? So, this video is going to be all about hiring. So, I'm pretty much just going to give away my entire framework for selecting candidates, interviewing them, how I choose which candidates are worth bringing onto an interview in the first place, how I interview them, how I pick the candidate for an offer, and how we're able to essentially bring on proven setters onto my clients' offers. So, I'm going to go over the entire process, just give it away in this Loom. And just so you know, I'm not, talking out of my ass. This is my client, Ridge. He just sent me this message yesterday. He cleared 50K cash collected this month. Here's a screenshot. Crushed it this month with his setter. Setter is absolutely crushing right now. And he actually started out at around 20K a month when he first started. So took him from 20 to 50. We're crushing it. We're definitely going to hit another record month this month in August. 100%. So anyway, let's jump right into it. So step one in the process, and by the way, I had this blacked out just for confidentiality reasons, but I essentially gather a bunch of applications. Okay, I take a look at tons and tons of applications, and I'm actually going to show you like what I specifically look for when I'm selecting a candidate. So depending on the offer, if I'm working with a US based client, I'm going to ideally look for someone who's either based in the US or Canada. Um, I'll make some exceptions for people who are based in South America if they're really, really good. But as long as they're in that time zone, anywhere between PST and EST, in a similar time zone, that's what I'm looking for. And when it comes to availability, guys, your setters should be working 6 days a week minimum. Okay, so that's the absolute minimum I'm looking for, 6 days a week. I actually don't mind when setters take Sundays off. I think it's good to take Sundays off, not get burnt out. So I'm good with 6 days a week. If you're down to work 7 days, that's even better. But that's what I'm looking for. I'm also looking for if they have any other commitments that are going to get in the way. Because as you guys know, there's a massive churning problem with setters, and it's hard to retain one for longer than 3 to 6 months. So I want to know if there's anything going on in their life that's going to get in the way, because I'm looking for a long-term salesperson. I'm looking for an employee, right, to stick around. Right? We don't want to train people every month or every couple weeks. So I'm looking for someone who's going to be committed to the offer, and that's why I ask this question. Again, I ask, are there any foreseeable roadblocks that will pop up in 3 to 6 months from now? Right? I'm looking for that too. So depending on their responses, I can just DQ them here. So if they have things that are going to get in the way, if they have school coming up and that's going to take up, like they're going to be full time in school, that's going to take up all of their time, they're probably not a good fit. So that's what I'm looking for there. Then I go into experience. Now, I like people who have experience, obviously. If they have experience in the niche that I'm hiring for, that's even better. But honestly, experience is not at the top of my priority list. What is just competence, and this is how you find that out in the interview. But I need someone who's competent, because if they have that foundation of competence and they're coachable, I can turn them into a great setter, even if they have no experience. But experience does help, so that's kind of where I'm at with that. The next thing I look at is what is their goal over the next 3 to 6 months, income wise, skill wise, everything. So you can actually gauge someone, like how reasonable a setter is just from this question. Because a lot of setters will put like some crazy numbers like, oh, I want to make 20 grand a month. Like you're probably not going to make 20 grand a month as an appointment setter unless you're on an 8-figure offer. Okay. So you got to make sure that these people have realistic expectations, because the other thing too is if you really want to retain a setter, you have to be super aligned on their goal. You have to help them get to their goals as well. This isn't just about you. Okay. If you want to retain someone, you have to help them reach their goal. So if they have a reasonable goal, right? And I would say reasonable goals, 3 to 5K a month. And depending on your offer, if you have a 7-figure offer, 10 grand a month is doable as a setter. It's not easy, but it's doable. I had one of my setters make 8 grand 1 month, so it's definitely doable. But is it realistic? Who knows, right? So that's what I'm looking for. If it's not realistic, then you might actually struggle with churning problems. So that's why I look at that question as well. Now, I also ask them what they're specifically looking for because I want to place them in a role that they're actually going to be invested in. Okay. So once again, all of these questions are basically optimizing for someone who's going to stick to the offer long term and be committed to it. So that's what I look for there. Now, once I've selected, usually I'll do about 5 candidates at a time. Once I've selected 5 people who I want to take an interview with, and I believe that they're potentially a good fit, I will set up a text message group chat. So, this is a good way to make sure you're using your time effectively as well, as opposed to taking a bunch of one-to-one interviews, which is something that I used to do. I've now pivoted to group interviews because I can get a lot more volume in doing this. So I will create a text message group chat with all of the people that I think are potentially a good fit for the offers I'm hiring for. And I'll come in, I'll say, hey guys, so this is actually a message from my VA, but I'll just say, hey guys, this is Joey, Setter Recruiter. The 6 of you were selected for a group interview. And then I send them more details on the actual offers. And then the interview details are below. By the way, they've already looked at these details at this point, so I'm just leaving it there for them to check it again. And then I'll set up a group interview for a random time, whatever works for me, and get them to reply to make sure that they confirm their spot that they're attending. So that's how I'll set up the group interview. On the interview, I use this framework to actually interview them and ask questions. Mind you, I will always have my notepad out, not a physical notepad, but just like the notepad app. And I will write notes on each of the candidates as they're going through their questions. So what I'll do is I'll do 3 rounds of questions. So first I'll open the group interview and I'll explain how things are going to work. It usually takes around half an hour to get through that interview. And I will do rounds of questions. So I will say, okay, so we're going to start with this person, next person, next person, next person. And then we do rounds of questions. So I'll do an initial introduction. So like, how'd you get in the industry? Where are you from? What experience do you have? They'll go in order. And then we'll start with round 2, starting again at the first person. So that's how I do it. These are the questions that I ask. The reason I ask these questions, once again, is just to get more context on them as a person, what experience they have, what they're looking for, what their goal is. And by asking these questions, you can also just gauge, their energy, because that's something I look at as well. Something you can't gauge over text is someone's like actual energy. And it's hard to put into words, but you can sense someone's energy, someone's level of commitment and dedication. And so that is something that I just look for when I'm asking these questions. These questions, as you can see, are similar to the questions I asked in the form, but I'm just getting getting them to expand on these questions in the interview. So that is the point of those. After we're done asking all the questions, I have all my notes down. I tell them the next steps. Typically it's, okay, I'm going to take a look at all the notes. We'll have an answer for you guys by tomorrow or the day after or next week, whatever the case is. And I will personally reach out to the person that I want to hire. So very simple. You let them know next steps, jump off the call, take a look at all your notes, decide who you want to hire. You'll probably already know by the end of the call anyway, who you want to bring on. And that is pretty much it. You bring them on, go through your Setter onboarding process, and start training and ramping them up. So that is my full hiring process, from selecting the candidates to interviewing them to choosing them. That is what I do to find them and to hire and place setters. So hopefully this was helpful for you guys, and I will see you in the next video.